Oh, yeah, I got nothing. Can we get it should just be on.
Is it on?
Is it on?
Hello.
All right. All microphones are on.
All right. Good afternoon or good morning. It's hard to say. It's Vegas, as we all know. I'm Denny. I'm the VP of Sales for In-Housing at MIQ. MIQ is a global leader in programmatic solutions, helping brands and advertisers navigate the increasingly more challenging world of the programmatic space to create more connected solutions. And joining me today is Eileen Lemish, who is the VP of Marketing Portfolios for the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas at MGM Resort.
Yes, thank you, Tia. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. We are so excited to host this conference here this year for the first time, hopefully not the last. I really encourage you while you're here to explore every little piece of our resort. There's a lot of hidden gems and speakeasies and unexpected items, so have fun while you're here at the Cosmopolitan.
And first of all, why is it the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas and MGM Resort? Why can I not say the Cosmo?
Fun fact here. It always comes back to Cosmo. When the Cosmopolitan was first opening back in 2010 and the brand was being created and the name came up as the Cosmopolitan, Cosmopolitan magazine sent us a cease and desist. So legally, we are the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas for any first mention, and any mention after that would be the Cosmopolitan or Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. So strict no-no on Cosmo. Although I will say internally, sometimes in our employee conversations, Cosmo comes out. But I've been here so long that I instinctively always say the Cosmopolitan.
And that's right. You've had quite a prolific career here. Why don't you tell us how long you've been here and what your remit is?
Sure. So like I was saying, I started back in 2010. The Cosmopolitan opened in December of 2010. I started a few months before that. My first role here was as an advertising copywriter, marketing copywriter. So I was really ingrained in the brand and learning the tone of voice and, kind of evolving the tone of voice. Throughout my time here, I transitioned into a manager for our creative team, then also into marketing management, then into director of brand marketing, and now with the merger with MGM, I have transitioned into VP of marketing portfolio, but specifically overseeing the brand marketing aspects of the Cosmopolitan.
And I mean, that's quite a feat. I feel like in this world of efficiency and fragmentation, there's all these opportunities to connect with your consumer along their journey. However, it's really difficult. And add on top of that, economic pressures. I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a pandemic apparently. And a lot of advertisers are doubling down, so to speak, on DR initiatives, really low cost ways to just, get heads in bed, so to speak. What sets the Cosmopolitan apart? And how have you been successful with your branding?
Well, from the inception of the Cosmopolitan, it's always been a very brand-driven property. Before the building was built, the brand was built. And those of us, and there's some of us in this room who have been here just as long as I have really learned the brand first before learning anything about hotel operations or any of the other aspects of the resort. And we learned that branding isn't just about a tagline. It's not a logo. It's the emotive connection you make with your guests or your consumers. And thinking of it as a whole, it's not just a one-on-one, one-channel communication. It's always a guest journey. And what we've learned here is that communication, education, and constant conversations are what help us evolve that brand and make sure that the brand is always our North Star in any type of marketing communication that we send out.
Yeah, and as a seller, I tend to think of brand as an aspect in the funnel, right? Or it's a channel, or it's a type of measurement. But it seems to me, staying at the Cosmopolitan, that it truly is an end-to-end experience.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to make it, it's one thing if you see a billboard or you see an ad on your social channels, but if what we're selling doesn't connect when you visit the resort, then there's no point of what we're selling. So something that we've done really well at the Cosmopolitan is not just the marketing team isn't the only team that is aware of what the brand is. Every single employee at this resort, which we call co-stars, so if you hear me say co-star, that means a Cosmopolitan employee, understands the brand and understands the why of the brand and understands how to make that emotive connection for their guests when they get here. And when I'm talking about every aspect, I'm talking, hotel operations, from the housekeepers to retail to the bartenders. They understand the Cosmopolitan brand and they understand the why behind it, and they're passionate about it. And we are constantly evolving and educating them.
Yeah, that I was going to ask you about innovations. Oftentimes we think about innovations, or at least I do, in terms of tech stacks or data or targeting, but there truly are some interesting brand innovations occurring here. And did any of you meet Rose?
I hope so. So Rose was one of the initial digital innovations that we had here at the Cosmopolitan, and she is our resident mischief maker and digital concierge. So
I think she hit on me last night. I'm like 90% sure.
So if you're staying at the resort, you may have received a text from her, and I encourage you to engage because she is a chatbot, and it was initially a service-based chatbot that we could use for things like if you're in your room and you want towels, you can text Rose for your towels. But working with our digital agency, RGA, a few years back, the marketing team here and RGA really figured out, well, it shouldn't just be about the service. It should be about the brand aspect of this chatbot as well. So that's why she has a name. She has her own personality. She is called our resident mischief maker. She's not just our chatbot. So,
and she has an accent.
And she has an accent. She certainly does. And she can also, if you're staying at the resort, or even if you're not, if you're just here, she'll take you on an art tour. She'll take you on a cocktail tour. There's different areas of the resort she will lead you around. And she can do restaurant recommendations, spa recommendations. So she's really a robust chatbot for us, and she continues to evolve. And kudos to my digital marketing team here because, yes, RGA created her, but they are constantly giving her more areas to speak about and keeping that tone of voice intact and on brand. So.
And what's really interesting to me is I'm always fascinated by the intersection between marketing initiatives and overcoming business challenges. And what I kind of geek out when I think about Rose is that after the pandemic, there's been so many challenges in hospitality and making sure that you have enough staff, and she can kind of offset some of those challenges, correct?
Yeah, she definitely can help with some of those service aspects as well as concierge and the recommendations and things like that. So it's been very helpful to have her on board.
I don't want to talk too much about the pandemic because I think we're all sick of talking about that, identity, the metaverse.
Yes.
But I'm sure there have been a few challenges and changes. I think we used the word whiplash when we were chatting earlier to describe the last 3 years. What are some of the bets that you made that maybe didn't pan out and that you had to course correct?
Well, definitely the last 3 years have been a really challenging time for the entire world, but especially for those in the service and hospitality industry. And Vegas got hit really hard. So coming out of that, especially at the end of 2021, when it looked like there was an end of tunnel in sight, we had some big plans for 2022. We wanted to do bigger events, more meaningful events, get back to activations, unique experiences. Well, then what happened at the beginning of 2022? Omicron. So we had to pivot a bit there. And we didn't want to lose who we were as a brand. Like I said, the branding is always our North Star. So how do we communicate with our guests and still make them feel like we're here for them and still providing them unique experiences? So we've had to pivot and come up with more on one-on-one personal, smaller experiences that they can still come to the Cosmopolitan and feel like it's a luxury experience, but keeping them safe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm excited to get back to travel and business travel. But I've certainly, I feel like in some ways I've changed a lot. And then in other ways that muscle memory is there, right? I'm like, oh, I'm in New York. I'm going out. I'm going to this bar, this restaurant. I'm going to do 100 things.
Yeah.
And I'm really exhausted at the end of it because I'm not used to people or pants. How do you feel like the business traveler has changed, and are you accommodating that at the Cosmopolitan?
I definitely think business travelers and guests have changed in a good way for the long run. So again, conference and meetings was a huge area that was hit hard, and Vegas relies on that. So our group sales teams have had to come up with different initiatives, and I think the virtual space and offering those different virtual and digital areas when having meetings are always going to be there now, and I think that's always a good aspect that they can sell, as well as figuring out more open spaces, more unique experiences that are not everybody shoved into a small room, but larger spaces with more unique experiences that come out of that.
And are we all getting that flower drink as a part of that? Because
Oh, yeah.
I think we should have opened that.
Yeah, we
with
should
that.
have.
We should have just served everyone. I learned a fun fact that the flower drink actually has never been on the menu.
Never. So if you don't know what the flower drink is, it is a drink. It is sold at the Chandelier Bar, specifically level 1.5. It is called the Verbena. It's never been on the menu ever. It's never been advertised, and it is the #1 selling cocktail from the Cosmopolitan since we've opened.
And how does that happen?
It's organic. It's word of mouth. It's something that people get excited about, and that's something that the Cosmopolitan is also known for. We have a few different speakeasies and secret spaces here that we came out of the gate with the trend setting for that. And the best form of flattery is copying, right? So there's been some more that have followed, but we've got a few. So if you do the Rose tour, she should be able to show you some of those hidden secrets.
Very cool. And I believe you also do a lot of collaborations and partnerships that maybe you haven't been able to do in the past few years. Are you planning more of those in 2023?
Yes, for sure. So when the Cosmopolitan first opened, we're a very art-infused property. Culturally, we look for dining experiences that you might not find at other resorts. Not your typical big-name celebrity chefs for the most part. And, with the last few years when we couldn't really do those experiences, now finally we're starting to be able to get back to doing some unique collaborations with digital artists, looking at some more food and wine activations, looking at things that can be more interactive, immersive. So I think this year there's going to be some new things that come out that are going to be very exciting for our guests and everyone here at the resort.
Well, we look forward to that. As you think about 2023 and all the different everything that you want to accomplish, right? What stands out the most to you? Like, what is the most important initiative for 2023?
Well,
And beyond, really.
yeah, well, for myself personally, it's being able to maintain this brand and being still known as the most unique luxury resort in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip, as well as maintaining our revenues and our keeping our ADR high. It's one of the highest on the Strip, and we've been able to maintain that through the pandemic and through the last few years. So that's really important to me, but also making sure that all of our co-stars and our employees feel passionate about where they work because they're part of something bigger and they're part of something that they know they matter here and that their opinions matter here, because that's also part of our branding. Taking and hearing those voices from everybody from every level of employment here.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about branding and that experience, and it really seems to underpin not just the marketing team, but every line of business, right?
Yes.
How do you get to advocate for branding dollars? I know probably some of your competitors or some folks out there are saying, yeah, I love the idea of branding, but at the end of the day.
Well, I have the next speaker to thank for this year's branding dollars because, as some of you might know, that we've become now part of MGM Resorts this year. So it's a little bit of a different landscape for us, but what I'm excited about is that our new owners really feel like this property is so brand driven that it deserves the money to maintain that and to even increase our brand awareness. So this year, knock on whatever this is, we've got some good dollars to keep that going.
You hear that, everyone? I'm just kidding. All right, I'm just going through some of my questions. Oh, one of the things we did talk about too is, I feel like the Cosmopolitan has done a really great job of creating a cohesive end-to-end experience. Where do you think some, challenges might come for other brands? Let's say they get the dollars, but how do you, what are the biggest mistakes?
I think a lot of times marketing is reactive. So let's say, I mean, it happens here too, and it's kind of, you have to wrangle it in because we work with so many different departments. I mean, we're marketing, but we work with every department at this property. And let's say, you know, if a group cancels, we have to fill rooms. We get a call from our revenue team and our CRM team. We have to send out an offer email. It needs to go out today. Okay, well, let's take a step back. Who's getting this? What have we spoken to them about already? What was their last communication? How do we make this feel like it's part of our bigger cohesive customer journey versus just being a reactive, we need to fill rooms? And I think that can happen with a lot of other businesses and brands where there's a need for something, so it's a reactive, you know, something happens because as a reaction to that, but you have to take a step back and see if it really fits in the big picture of who you are as a company and who your brand is.
So then what other brands are getting, we didn't rehearse this one, but what other, no, what other brands are getting it right? Like in the past, I would think about, you know, I didn't know why, but I was over 30 and I wanted a Volkswagen, or my MP3 player was perfect, but suddenly I wanted an iPod. Like, what other advertisers do you think are really getting it right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're few and far between, but some of them are better than others, right? So Apple's a great example. I think luxury brands like Louis Vuitton do it well, Gucci does it well. They know who they are and they know who they're targeting and they know what their vision is, and they constantly do that. I think there's a speaker here from Ulta. I personally love Ulta. I think their branding works really well. I love the communications I get from them because they're clear and concise and I always know what to expect. But that always comes back to who the marketing leaders are and making sure that all the different areas of the business is getting taught about what the right marketing message is.
Yeah, so being clear, concise, having that vision, truly having a passion and having everyone embrace it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, do we want to do a couple of questions from the audience?
Sure.
All right. Really
Have a
tough
couple minutes.
questions.
Questions. All right. I'll start here because I'll work my way over there.
Hi, Brandy Fuhr, Vegas local.
Oh,
So, you know, Vegas has had some record-breaking months. We're set for an amazing year. Formula One, Super Bowl, new sports teams. What tech and digital bets are you making in preparation for some of that?
Besides MIQ.
yes. Well, I think we're still kind of learning about what our plans are going to be and what our goals are for these. I mean, F1 is going to be huge. And it seems like even F1 is trying to figure some things out. The Cosmopolitan is a prime spot for F1 viewing with our terraces, and we haven't even gone on sale yet because we are literally trying to figure out which rooms are the best viewings. And so tech-wise, I think there's definitely opportunities, especially when it comes to food and beverage ordering and maybe leveraging rows for some of those areas in that regard. Super Bowl too, that's going to be also really big for the city. And, you know, with our new owners, we're trying to navigate because they have teams that work on tech where we've kind of figured it out ourselves before, and we're going through those areas. And I will say they have a lot of teams, and I don't know what all the teams stand for yet, so we're still learning. But I think that's a really great question, and it's something that we definitely need to think about as a brand and as an entire company.
Yeah, how do you source artists and restaurants, or is that?
Well, I'm not as cool as I used to be, so I'm aging out of our target. I'm aging out of our target guests, so my coolness factor is going down. But it's important to align ourselves with like innovative partners and agencies to bring those to our attention. So originally, a lot of the artists here at the Cosmopolitan were sourced through the Art Production Fund, through changes and ownership changes and just structure changes. We started sourcing those on our own, and we have a small scrappy team that kind of goes out and finds some of these restaurants. I mean, Block 16 was the first urban food hall on the Strip, and each one of those restaurants, we had a couple people that would just go around the country looking for these unique experiences that they couldn't find anywhere else. So but it's a full-time job looking for those too. So I think this year that's a big goal, is to get back to doing a lot of those partnerships and activations that are focused on art and culture. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and I mean, travelers are looking for experiences.
Yes.
So I think it's a great synergy between the market need, as well as truly who the Cosmopolitan brand has always been.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Question over here.
She's bait and switching me over here.
So you mentioned being acquired by MGM. And so at a resort like this, which has historically been independent and the brand has reigned supreme, quite honestly, throughout all of the operations, how are you maintaining that now that you're part of a larger organization with multiple brands?
Yes. Great question. So something that I've really been advocating the last few months is making sure that all of our new partners and our new resorts understand branding and are trained on our brand. And it's a big undertaking because, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of teams, and it's not just explaining what the brand is, but explaining the why, and why it matters is very, very important. So constant education and constant innovation when challenging some of these areas to think differently and how they do things normally. But I also think from the other side, it's helpful for us. And what I'm seeing is we have a lot of tools here at the Cosmopolitan that help our co-stars understand brand. So we have like guidelines, guidebook, social toolkit, photography guidelines that are really based in branding. And what I'm seeing is that some of the other resorts have seen that, and they're kind of following along with that to understand their brands for each of these specific resorts, as well as the back of house training. When an employee gets hired here at the Cosmopolitan, they go through 2 days of training, which is operations, but branding is part of that as well. And I think some of the other resorts are seeing that works really well for our co-stars and getting them excited and passionate to work here. So making sure that the education and the conversations don't stop. And I try to do things in an eloquent way when I need to. I've noticed that with the merger, sometimes a random department will reach out and say, I need your images, we're going to use your images. And that's understanding what they're being used for, because my gut reaction is like, no, not right now, but educating in the why. So where is it going? What are you trying to do? Make sure that, can we make sure we have approval, because we understand our imagery and our tone of voice better, and constant education seems to be the way to go so far.
That's great. Such an amazing success story about staying true to your brand and its ethos. I think if we could all live that, that'd be fantastic. So thanks again for the hospitality.
Sure. Don't forget to text Rose, try the
Test Rose
verbena,
out.
see if you can find secret pizza, and have a great